Welcome back, everyone. I am absolutely thrilled you're joining us for another explainer today. We're going to be tackling a foundational concept that completely shifts how we view education, child development, and human potential. We are looking closely at the biological limitations on education. Have you ever wondered why some things just click effortlessly at a certain age, while trying to learn them earlier felt almost impossible? Well, the answer lies in understanding the fascinating dynamic between maturation and learning.
Okay, let's dive into this. Can you force someone to learn? It's a real-world frustration almost every teacher, parent, or even older sibling has faced at some point. You sit down, you try to teach a concept, you explain it perfectly, but the person you are teaching just stares back blankly. They just aren't ready. Is it a lack of effort, a failure of teaching, or is there this invisible biological wall standing in the way?
A great way to think about this is the classic hardware versus software analogy. Think of biological maturation as your ultimate physical hardware, and educational learning as the software. No matter how incredible or advanced that educational software is, you simply cannot install it if the biological hardware hasn't been upgraded yet to support it. Maturation dictates exactly what learning can actually be successfully installed.
To understand this invisible hardware, we need to look at the boundaries it creates. Section 1. The limits of learning.
Attempting to teach materials before proper maturity has been reached will be a wasteful process. It's a bit like watering a rock hoping it will sprout, or trying to install the latest modern video game on a decades-old floppy disk. Lacking a sufficient degree of maturity, a child simply cannot learn the material. Any premature teaching efforts aren't just difficult, they are entirely unproductive because the biological foundation simply isn't there yet.
Let's move to Section 2, Defining Maturation, and see how this builds.
So what is it exactly? Maturation is the natural unfolding of inherited tendencies. It refers to the physical and behavioral changes that happen purely because the biological clock is ticking and we're getting older. It's the emergence of personal and behavioral characteristics through pure growth processes. In fact, true maturity is defined as the specific point in life when no more true biological growth occurs. It's basically an automatic internal timer.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how scholar J. McVicker Hunt frames it perfectly with the term genetic blueprint. He highlights that an individual manifests different traits over time strictly in line with the blueprint carried in their cells since conception. It reinforces that development is entirely out of the learner's conscious control. It's a preset biological schedule, plain and simple.
And this isn't just one scholar's opinion. We see a massive consensus in educational psychology here. Woolfolk agrees, specifically emphasizing that these changes are naturally occurring over time. Notice the repetition of the concepts genetically and naturally. It's happening whether we intervene or not.
And this brilliantly illustrates the unified academic agreement we see from Laura Burke. She states it is genetically determined. Across the board, the experts agree maturation is an automatic, internal biological process that is completely immune to external environmental pressure. You literally cannot speed it up by studying harder.
So how does this genetic clock interact with textbooks and classrooms? Section 3. How maturation impacts learning.
This brings us to the golden rule from our source material. Maturation sets limits for learning. These two concepts are deeply connected, for sure, but they are absolutely not the same thing. Your body is going to grow and mature regardless of whether you ever pick up a book. However, all learning is strictly limited to the stage of maturation of the person. You can mature without learning, but you absolutely cannot learn beyond your maturity.
Let's break this down a bit. Maturation is internal. It's genetically controlled, and it sets your ultimate biological limits. Because we all have different genetics, it creates individual differences in the rate we grow. Learning, on the other hand, actively requires effort and is a function of that maturation. It is optimized by your environment. You need the internal genetic readiness to capitalize on the external environmental effort. Think of it like having a high-performance engine. You still need the driver to put in the effort to actually steer the car. Understanding this changes everything for teachers and parents. Section 4. Designing the right curriculum. So the crucial point is, if maturation sets the limits, educators must respect those limits. Learning material has to be carefully graded and selected to suit the specific age and maturity of the learner. Furthermore, because learning is optimized by the environment, educators have to provide the best possible setting.
And since maturation rates differ from person to person, we've got to make provisions to meet those individual differences, deeply integrating both educational and developmental psychology into how we actually construct our curriculums.
This creates a very clear two-step process for anyone in a teaching role. Step 1. You must deeply understand the stages and levels of maturation. Only once you have that down can you proceed to Step 2, which is knowing exactly what to teach and, most importantly, when to begin teaching a selected skill. An effective teacher uses the understanding of these developmental stages to precisely time when a new concept is introduced, maximizing the student's natural biological readiness.
Honestly, if you take away one thing today, it's this. Regardless of how much effort children put into learning, they cannot learn until they are developmentally ready. We often praise hard work and grit, right? But trying to teach a toddler calculus is a funny mental image for a reason. Pure effort cannot overcome a biological lack of readiness. This absolutely cements the necessity for age-appropriate curriculums. We just can't force the hardware to run software it isn't built for yet.
Which leaves us with a final, somewhat provocative thought. In a modern world that constantly pushes for faster learning, early advancement, and accelerated testing, are we teaching to the child's age, or are we truly respecting their genetic blueprint? It's a question that challenges the very foundation of how we structure our educational systems. I hope this explainer has given you a powerful new lens through which to view learning, development, and the incredible natural unfolding of the human mind. Keep learning, keep questioning, and we'll see you in the next explainer.